नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी निति नामिने
कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी निति नामिने।
नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे।
नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद।
प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद।
प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद।
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद।
प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम
Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Jai Om Shabad Paramahamsa Prabhupada Stottar Sata Shishima Divine Grace of Bhaktivedanta Swami Jagat Guru Prabhupada Ki ISKCON Founder-Acharya Jagat Guru Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Shabad Paramahamsa Prabhupada Stottar Sata Shishima Divine Grace of Bhaktivedanta Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय ब्रज वृंदावन धाम की जय नवद्वीप धाम की जय जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय गंगा माई की जय जमुना माई की जय भक्ति देवी की जय तुलसी महारानी की जय समावित भक्त वृंद की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंद all glories to assembled before me all glories to assembled before me all glories to assembled before me glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana-shlakaya Chakshurmilitan Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadavahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusate Devi Pranamami Shri Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Satarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. To introduce the ideal Grihastha ashram, the idealism is based on the purpose of the Grihastha ashram. When newly married couple, they do not understand what is the purpose of getting married, then the whole foundation is completely not there. In 1969, Giriraj Maharaj is responding to what Srila Prabhupada's mood and mission about getting boys and girls getting married is there. It's been revealed that at that time everybody was new to Krishna consciousness and they all depended on Srila Prabhupada, to give instructions personally. So even for some trivial matters, they do not know the Vedic style of the family life. And they were totally dependent upon Srila Prabhupada's instructions. Whatever he would tell, they are ready to do it. But at the same time, sometimes they have questions, then they would ask. So, one of the lady devotee, Balai Devi Dasi, had recently got married and wasn't sure what her relationship with her husband should be. She asked Srila Prabhupada and he replied, just as the right hand has a relationship with the left hand, through the body, so you have a relationship with your husband through Krishna, with Krishna in the center. There is the right hand and there is the left hand. But what connects them is the body. In this example, the right and left hands are husband and wife, and the body is Krishna. We have to change our consciousness, Prabhupada told us, and put Krishna at the center. That, he said, would make all the difference. When our false ego is at the center, we have so many problems. But when Krishna is at the center, our relationship becomes harmonious. So, this was Srila Prabhupada's very clear-cut but simple, answer to establish the relationship between husband and wife. Otherwise, it's a male role and female role. But being a husband and being a wife denotes something more of the relationships. So, there is another statement of Srila Prabhupada in explanation of Queen Kunti's prayers also. She prays to Lord Krishna, Atha Vishvesha Vishvatman Vishvamurta Swakeshu me Sneha Pasham Mama Chindi Dradam Pandushu Vishnushu. O Lord of the universe, soul of the universe, O personality of the form of the universe, please therefore sever my tie of affection for my kinsmen, the Pandavas and Vrishnis. Tvai me ananya vishaya matir madhupate sakrit ratim udvahata adha gangesh vaugham udvanti. O Lord Madhu, O Lord of Madhu, as the Ganges ever flow towards the sea without hindrance, let my attraction be constantly drawn unto you without being diverted to anyone else. So, in these two verses, Srila Prabhupada is explaining the whole purpose of the relationship as well as the fruit of such relationship, that is love of Godhead. In his purport, Srila Prabhupada makes a very interesting point. He says that Kunti's family members were devotees of Lord Krishna. Her paternal family members, the Vrishnis, were devotees. Her sons, the Pandavas, were devotees. And the affection for devotee is not outside the pale of Krishna consciousness, of the pure devotional service. So when Kunti prays, please sever my ties of affection for my kinsman, she means that she wants the affection based on bodily to be cut. Her affection for the Pandavas and the Vrishni is not out of the range of devotional service, because the service of the Lord and the service of the devotees are identical. Sometimes service to the devotee is more valuable than service to the Lord. But here the affection of Kunti Devi for the Pandavas and Vrishnis was due to the family relations. This tie of affection in terms of material relationship is a relation of Maya. Because the relation of the body or the mind are due to the influence of external energy. Relations of the soul established in relationship with the Supreme Lord are factual relations. When Kunti Devi wants to cut off this family relation, she meant to cut off the relationship of the skin. The skin relationship is the cause of material bondage, but the relationship of the soul is the cause of freedom. This relationship of the soul to the soul can be established by the medium of a relationship with the super soul. This is in Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 8th chapter, 42nd verse. So, in short, there are two categories of relationship or of affection, one based on the body and another based on the soul. Soul to soul, through the medium of the super soul. The super soul is the supreme soul. When Kunti prays, please sever my ties of affection for my kinsman, she means the affection that is based on the body, so that only the affection based on the soul remains. Affection based on the body leads to the bondage and death, whereas affection based on the soul leads to liberation and eternal life. So, we do not have to give up our family relationships, but we want to purify them. We want the material aspect, which is based on the body, to become less and less important. And we want the spiritual aspect, which is based on the soul through the medium of the super soul, to become more and more prominent. The more the spiritual dimension of our relationship becomes prominent, the more our relationship becomes congenial to our happiness and ultimate success of life, which will be eternal. One authority on the marriage said, marriage is not supposed to make you happy. What a blunt statement. It is supposed to make you married, and once you are safely and totally married, you have a structure of security and support from which you can find your own happiness. We are not in any illusion that the marriage per se will bring us happiness, but we want to work on our marriages so that we can function well as part of the unit and the family unit, and within the relative place and mutual support of that unit find our own inner happiness, which is the only real happiness there is. Srila Prabhupada later wrote to Balaidasi, in the materialistic marriages, generally there are too many troubles and frustrations because the basic principle for both husband and wife is their own personal sense gratification. Therefore, there is inevitable conflict and divorce petition. But in Krishna conscious marriage, the basic principle is for both husband and wife to serve Krishna nicely and to help the partner advance in spiritual life. In this way, both the husband and wife are true benefactors for one another, and there is no question of any serious conflict or separation. So I am sure that to have such nice parents who are devotees of Lord Krishna, your child Nandini is very, very fortunate. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna instructs that for one to be born in the family of devotees means that such person was the most pious of all living entities. To raise Nandini very carefully in Krishna consciousness, and surely Krishna will bestow all blessings upon you and your family. Prabhupada wrote this on 21st July 1969 to Balaidasi. So, here we take the preamble in order to keep this focal point in all the discussions or pertaining to anything that we discuss about the trivial difficulties, common difficulties. We need to seek solace and try to come to this central focal point as a resolution, as a means to mitigate that problem. So here, the North American Grihastha Vision team came up with a brainstorming and scrutinizing these needs of ideal family life according to time, place, and circumstances, but without compromising with the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Srila Prabhupada explicitly expresses that I think there are more than 7 points to be taken into consideration, where in 7th canto, 14th chapter, ideal Grihastha is described, and the vision team of North America came up as a service to the community of the devotees, 12 principles to be discussed, which are very essential to sustain an ideal family life. So everybody can get a guideline and start patching up, making up. It's like a putty to be filled in where the cracks are. So, what is this? This is a new cursor to me. Okay. Principle one is alignment with Srila Prabhupada's teachings. Alignment. Prabhupada, again in a letter of 12th September 1968, he wrote, "We require so many householders to set example for others how in Krishna consciousness we can live peacefully and sanely even in married life." Generally, married life is an insane life. To live sanely in married life is a great achievement. And there we require Krishna consciousness to play important role. So, it says Krishna conscious family life is consistent with teachings and examples of Srila Prabhupada's and must be applied with consideration of time, place and circumstances. And one should take into account the local culture, without compromising Srila Prabhupada's teachings, understandings and principles and the values underpinning them. So, the added factor is culture. All right? Now, culture doesn't mean Gujarati culture or Western culture or... No, that culture is simply based on language, means communication. But otherwise, maybe little difference in food habits, right? They say those who were living on the coast of Arabian Sea, they are all fish eaters. And Konkani Brahmanas, Smartha Brahmanas, Saraswat Brahmanas, they were all meat eaters. Even Brahmanas. Anyway, if we take Krishna consciousness into account, we will ignore all this. Right? So, the ultimate and right question is the very first instruction that Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking in first verse of that 14th chapter. He said, he inquired from Narad Muni, "O my Lord, O great sage, kindly explain how we who are staying at home without knowledge of goal of life may also easily attain liberation according to the instructions of the Vedas." So most of the householders, they must be entangled in something else rather than inquiring into the Vedic studies. So when a sadhu comes, then they jump on him and ask. They don't ask how should they become, ideal in Grihastha. Rather, they want the sadhus to interfere in their problems and resolve it. Without knowing or establishing the fundamental principles upon which the sadhu has learned through the Shastra, no, they want him to give the resolution. And do you think they are going to agree? No. But Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking according to the instructions of the Vedas. Therefore, we need an authority to come in. What is the honest source of resolution? Your personal experience is not. Honest means very, very bona fide. And that is only as the Shastra, the ultimate. He says that there are many purificatory processes for advancement of human society to spiritual life. Marriage ceremony, for example, is one of the sacrifices. The Lord says that any sacrifice which is meant for human welfare should never be given up. Marriage ceremony is meant to regulate the human mind to become peaceful for spiritual advancement. First become peaceful. Then you will have a clear-cut target to achieve. Those who are not peaceful, it means they are on crash management course. Every day, in and out, crash management in their household life. Elements of these sacrifices are listed as duties in the 14th chapter of 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and they are as follows. These are the countdowns. We have been given the cardinal principles in Srimad Bhagavatam as an answer to the question, offer the results of their work to the Supreme Lord Vasudeva instead of trying to enjoy the results of their work themselves. Means remove the animosity or enmity with Lord Himself, that we came as an enjoyer. Give up that notion that you are not the enjoyer. Second is associating and hearing from saintly persons, which will gradually awaken the living entity from the dream of family attachment. This is the dream of family attachment. It was not there before and suddenly it pops up. What is the difference between family attachment that suddenly pops up and gradually develops? No, but according to the time, it's very insignificant. In the terms of eternity, in the terms of relationship with Krishna, and the soul is expressing its eternality, this temporary built-up of a relationship which has a beginning, sustained for some time and then dissolved, it is a very insignificant event. And we are told, if you want to live happy, then have your wife faithful, and you remain faithful to her, so you can come back 7 generations to witness more grilling. Do you think Kali Yuga is there for devotees to endure 7 lifetime? Won't they learn anything from one? Anyway, wishful thinking is there. So, that is the second principle. Hear from the sadhus all the time. Working only as much necessary and being attached to the family and social affairs only superficially while being internally detached. This is the crux of all the crux. The central pivotal point is to become successful in married life means remain as an expert provider for keeping body and soul together of every dependent, and always ready at any time, because that is the need, physical need. But make sure that you do not get entangled. The provider should not get entangled and become attached. If the provider becomes attached, then what happens? He will not be able to execute that duty for the dependents efficiently. Is there any objection? If the provider becomes attached, then there will be so many faults arising in his performance. Because if he becomes another selfish, to carve out his own share separately, then there will be no harmony. He will be another contender, and he may execute his first right to have his lot and then give to others. So neither he remains faithful to the family nor to Krishna. So make sure, it's a big responsibility that we are supposed to take care of the family and work only superficially, in the sense that as far as body is concerned, body's needs are to be provided. It is said in further instructions of Narada Muni that you do not have to provide only to your family members. Everybody else is also dependent on you. So you should make provision for others. Then your attachment will tell, why do I have to do that? I have no attachment for them, and yet I have to provide for them. I will provide to whom I am attached. But the instruction is other way around. The instruction is not to get attached to, means you should not be bound up with the fruitive results of your own karma. Because ultimate aim is to not only think of your own liberation, but liberation of others who are your dependents. An attached person cannot be liberated. How he has to liberate, the technique is given right away. That before the attachment sets in, remain detached. Once the attachment sets in, it is difficult to take it out. Can you understand? Isn't it startling? Another blow, not claiming proprietorship over more than necessary. Oh, we learned that in Ishopanishad. Everybody knows this sloka. But application, hardly anybody does. Ishavashyamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjitha. We never think of what is left aside for us. I will do it myself. How much I need. How does Krishna know how much I need? We challenge the authority of Krishna. Tena tyaktena bhunjitha means your functions should not be disrupted. So you take as much necessary to keep the functionality of the soul and body together. Over and above, you will slow down because of the burden of attachment. Burden of attachment makes us slow down. Person who is attached it will be difficult for him to make progress in spiritual life. Even the burden is unseen, not being visualized, burden of attachment. But when he starts counting the duties, and he puts the duties as his priorities, other than the fundamental duty that he must work for the pleasure of the Lord. Naturally, the burden is forced upon us. It will be levied. So naturally, we can't carry the burden. It makes us slow down. So there will be naturally slow progress or none. Depends on how heavy the burden of attachment is. Treating all living entities like one owns children. Oh my God, I had 2 children, that's good enough. And now Bhagavatam says, everyone is my children. This is not fair. Why me? But you are a Grihastha. You are established in a very steady position to execute this service. Otherwise, brahmacharis are not established to do a steady job. Vanaprastha are de-establishing themselves to go to forest and cut off the ties. Sannyasis are already kicked out. They are not responsible for this. Only Grihastha, you are staying at one stable ashram. And you are supposed to make progress. Prabhu, you can sit down and meditate or walk and also meditate. Yeah. That's how Arjuna knew. Stitadim kim prabhasheta asita vrajeta kim. The Stitadi Muni, how does he act? How does he sit? And how does he walk? Well, he's meditating and he's walking. Yes, means his state of consciousness should be so much that even in any activities of, he will never forget Krishna. So, you are stable in Grihastha ashram. So, it must be very disciplined. Your mind must be disciplined. Your desires must be disciplined. Your activities will be disciplined. So, it's an obligatory work because you are working by taking their help. So, in turn, you do something better for them. Right? In this ashram, generally people work with a lot more of passion and ignorance. Passion and ignorance. Passion makes us hyperactive. But the passion is not satisfied, so it turns into wrath. Dhyayato vishayan spunsa sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kama kamat krodho vijayate krodhat bhavati sammoha sammoha smriti vibhramaha smriti bhramshad buddhinasho buddhinashat pranashyati. So, mode of passion, when not satisfied, it is going to turn into wrath. And wrath is all-devouring enemy. So our desires are burning. Unsatisfaction burns them. even the potency in negative reaction is humongous, and it affects us adversely. So we burn from inside. Oh, I'm unsuccessful. My desires are still there. What can I do? So unnecessary situations are being created because of uncontrolled situation, even though we have been given opportunity to be established in homes. So when we are given the added facility, added services, the responsibility to treat all living entities like one's own family members. And all living entities means all the species of 8.4 million species of life. Here they are shown only 1, 2. There is another taboo coming up. Now we are talking of the wives. One's wife should be fully engaged in receiving guests and caring for other all living entities, and the attraction for her body should be renounced. Oh my God, she is also supposed to become detached to something. Man is supposed to become detached with the results of his work. And women should remain detached for the attraction of her body. While serving others, not when serving the husband. She is allowed there. All right? So, Prabhupada explains the situation in the marriage of Kardam Muni and Devhuti, in the perpetual Prabhupada writes, the household duty of a man is not to satisfy his sense gratification, but to remain with a wife and children and at the same time attain advancement in spiritual life. One who does not do so is not a householder, but a Grahamedhi. So he puts these two words, Grihastha and Grahamedhi. Both are opposite to each other as far as the attachment is concerned. The two words are used in Sanskrit literature. One is Grihastha and other is Grahamedhi. The difference between Grahamedhi and Grihastha is that Grihastha is also an ashram or the spiritual order. But if one simply satisfies his senses as householder, then he is a Grahamedhi. Plain and simple. So we have to mark how much percent Grahamedhi life are living and how much percent, Grihastha life are we living. For a Grahamedhi to accept wife means to satisfy the senses. But for a Grihastha, a qualified with an assistant in every respect of advancement in spiritual activities. I am giving the shots, no question. So far. You can interrupt me, Prabhus, Matajis. Now comes up prasadam. Eat only prasadam first offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These are also coming as subsequent instructions for ideal Grihastha duties. Okay, everybody should write down this part at least, because it is coming in 14th verse of this particular chapter as instruction from the Lord directly. Spend his money in 5 activities. And you can question. Worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you can spend receiving Vaishnavas and saintly persons, distributing prasad to general public and all living entities, offering prasad to his forefathers, and offering prasad to his own self, means all family members. Isn't it food for life is ideal occupation for Grihasthas? Grihastha should also visit the holy places of pilgrimage. Essentiality of renunciation as early as practical. But the government wants you to work hard for them. So your retirement age is increasing from 55, now it is 75 in America. Here it is 70. Non-essentiality of sex life. Even the Prajapatis like Kashyap Muni, he had a wife called Diti, and she would not know the rules and regulations and would compel her husband to beget children at the wrong time. The Supreme Father, Lord Shiva, is also connected to the sex life. Not the Ayappa way, but the Sadasiva. You know, Sadasiva is the status of Lord Shiva, which is spiritual in nature, and it is situated on the other side of Virja river that divides material and spiritual spheres. But Durga Devi has a residence on the other side. Lord Shiva expands himself, Sadasiva expands himself to Gunavatar form and becomes husband of Durga Devi. He is the incarnation of Lord Vishnu who wants to indulge with the mode of ignorance and control it. If he uses Mahashankarshan mantra to chant on beads to control the mode of ignorance, naturally he leads us. It's said in Vishnu Sahasranam that if anyone chants the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, with 1,000 names at Shivalaya, Lord Shiva makes sure that he will get residence in Vrindavan. That is the Mahatmya. Because Lord Shiva knows his position. His original rupa was Shankarshan, and when came in contact with the mode of ignorance, he became transformed into Shankar. This situation is not reversible. All right? It's an irrevocable fact. It will not be revoked. Lord Vishnu himself also wants personally, without transforming, to control the mode of goodness. So, he is not affected by the three modes, but Brahma and Shiva does get affected by the material modes. So, their subsequent creation is there. as Gunavataras, it is very easy for mode of pure goodness to handle goodness. No problem. But we do not know that there is any mode of pure passion or pure ignorance. No, they are lower modes and they are completely degrading in effect. Only hopeful, or we should rest on mode of goodness to achieve anything, physically, materially. So, Diti can only produce daityas, means the demons. Demons do not have regulatory principles, do not believe even. Then there are duties of Grihastha, chaste wife, to render service and be favorable to her husband and his friends and relatives. Again in the purport, Prabhupada repeats the same thing. So it is the duty of a wife to take charge of the household affairs and not to compete with her husband. A qualified wife is an assistant in every respect for advancement in spiritual activities. She should follow her husband's vows. Woman is not trained up now to become a chaste wife. That is the defect of civilization. Formerly, women was trained up to only to remain faithful to to her husband. That's all. That is the only training required. And you don't need a school for that. Association is the only requirement. Srila Prabhupada in a room conversation in Los Angeles says, Nari Rupam Pativrataha. Women's beauty is how she is faithful to her husband. That's all. If a woman is trained up not to talk with any other man except her husband, that is her beauty. That enhances the beauty and prestige. This is Vedic knowledge. Oh, we heard so many times, but it doesn't inspire us. Can anybody say that? Oh, you are talking of old times. Now we have to put our foot parallel to our husband's foot. We have to walk together, not walking behind. It is inferiority. Otherwise you make men's superiority and complex psyche. It turns into ugly male chauvinism. But starting from the basic foundational instructions for mothers is to remain protected, will be violated, exploited, and misused or abused. Because on one behalf, we say they are male chauvinist, and if we are subjugated, then there is not an exploitation. Oh, we cannot express our desires, our feelings, our concerns. But no, in Krishna consciousness, if you keep Krishna, then everything is possible and everything will be adjusted. But alone without Krishna? How can it be possible? So modern culture of not giving proper training to the women, how to become faithful to their husband, is the lack of education. Remain happy. To wear attractive and clean garments for the pleasure of her husband. You can decorate yourself. But it's a private affair that keeps the bond of not bodily attachment, but the bond of responsibility together. We should be bound by the responsibilities and accountabilities. These are the two wheels and the rail track of spiritual guidance. They have to move together. Yes, that is spiritual equality. We'll discuss these points in the next session in a very elaborate way, because there are lots of instructions on that. Okay. Another duty that comes to keep the house clean, tidy, and romantic. Oh, that we were told. There is no objection here. Execute the desires of her husband. Oh, we know it. And be modest, truthful, and speak in sweet words. If husband is not irritating. Otherwise, we also know how to do. Well, we reserve the right? When it should be applied and when it should not be applied. Well, if everybody plays politics, why can't we? She should be in control of her senses, satisfied and not greedy. Maharaj, you should tell my husband too. Why me only? Be expert in managing household affairs, fully conversant with religious principles. Yes. Every husband is not a male chauvinist pig, but he may have false ego. To be a husband means to be protector or owner or proprietor. They think they own me. No. There are a lot of ugly cases on the ownership of woman comes. Your father did not give me dowry enough. I will show him by harassing you. So many ills of the society have been proliferated simply by misunderstanding the women's instructions. They think they must be income generating source. No. They are not supposed to be income generating source. Then why did she got educated? They will say. Well, in case of her emergencies, she can use it. But artificially, she should not be pumping up, money or funneling money for the sake of greediness. So, another duty, engaging with affection in service of a husband who is not fallen. Here is the catch. this is a very positive weapon in the hands of women. Better remain straight. Okay. Thus she will surely return home back to Godhead with her devotee husband. Be aware. A devotee husband is not supposed to be fallen, means sense gratifier. So, the chastity and other aspects will be also understood, that what does it mean to follow the husband. Ultimate aim is of her liberation also. So, Devahuti and Kardamuni's marriage has been weaving all these concerns about the individual duties, responsibilities, and their placement in the society. Overall, women are given more duties than men. If you try to see in the terms of occupation of hourly duties, women have more. But women have risk-free duties, if they follow. And the man is risking everything. They can endure because that kind of body is to endure the risks. Women's body cannot be enduring the risk. They have to be protected, they have to be provided. Okay. Now, this gives us an entry into the second principle of spiritual growth and progress. Family life as well as the home life itself should be an ashram of spiritual culture. And second, personal growth and character formation are integral to the spiritual development. So are we making tangible progress? If we are duty bound in our conditional position, in constitutional position we are servants of Krishna. But in conditional situation, we have been allotted our duty with spiritual equality and material difference. So therefore, the second principle should give equal opportunity for spiritual growth and internal progress. For one who is provided, a husband may write a will that upon his accidental death he will receive $1 billion and nominates his wife. Wife should have to pray, make it fast, Krishna. You bet it is. She will never remain happy if she does that. Why? Because everybody will be after her money and will take away her sleep. Recently, one of our acquaintances in Fiji, the husband died of leukemia, and they did not have any issue. She is religiously inclined. She came to Vrindavan and, yes, I want to dedicate my life, but where is the money? the money was all tied up in litigation. Her brother-in-law says, this is my property. My brother left. It is between us two. So she's stuck. Millions of dollars. But they are stuck. In stuck situation, anybody can take disadvantage of him. So, she should always do Karwa Chauth every year in order to make sure her husband is protected. Because protection of the husband means her own protection. Security. Protection means security. So much security. So, here we go. Character formation. Srila Prabhupada wrote a letter to Sudevi on 15th September 1972. Marriage between husband and wife means that the husband must forever be responsible for the wife's well-being and protection in all cases. Therefore, he must take full responsibility for you the rest of his life. And you also must agree to serve him under all circumstances and assist him in every way so that he may make advancement in Krishna consciousness. A wife is not a burden to drag him down in Krishna consciousness. Rather, she should be encouraging, because her Krishna consciousness will also depend upon her husband's advancing Krishna consciousness. So therefore, to become an assistant, and a healthy assistant, not throw up like a burden on his shoulder. Third is the understanding that though Vaishnava theology values ultimate renunciation, such renunciation has to be internal and mature. Otherwise, it is inappropriate and may be dangerous to both individual and society. Artificially, one should not make dejection or renouncing everything and try to invite poverty upon him. No, that's a false notion. Oh, you have become devotee. Now our family members are imposing that. Yesterday we touched that particular point, that, oh, now you are residing in Australia, in Melbourne. Oh, you have your own house. Oh, so what do you need this, our common ancestral property for? You are not going to come and live here, only we. So here we are the proprietors. Oh, you have taken my name out from this inheritance? Just for petty benefits, people do this. They have faith that he is not going to help us. Even though he helps such a person, he will say, yes, I'm going to do everything, but he will take out the helper's name from it. He will take out the name, usurp the property. Family members do this. So, what is wrong? This is the $64,000 question. You must appreciate this analogy Jad Bharat is giving in Srimad Bhagavatam 5th canto. why we cannot easily achieve the state of mature Krishna consciousness, why we are facing the same material obstacles over and over again. So, this verse he is speaking as an instruction to King Rahugan. Chalana kvachita kantaka sarkarangre nagara rakshur vimana ivaste pade pade bhyantara vahani adritaha kautumbikaha krudhyati vai sajanaya. The translation: sometimes the merchant in the foreigns wants to climb the hills and mountains, but due to insufficient footwear, his feet are pricked by small stones, fragments, and by thorns on the mountain. Being pricked by them, he becomes very aggrieved. Sometimes a person who is very attached to his family becomes overwhelmed with the hunger, and due to his miserable condition, he sometimes becomes furious with his family members. There is no cause, nothing, and all of a sudden, just like cloud burst, he burst upon the family members because he was perturbed somewhere. My grandmother used to tell me, your father was an angry person, you know. He would come with a quarrel with somebody outside and then he will chastise your mother at home. For what? He says, yeah, people do. They have problem out on the job or field where they work, and if they felt discouragement and they become very repulsive in nature, they become angry, but the anger comes out at home. Is it a correct statement? My grandmother is right or wrong? No, this is a question to the mothers only. Because it's such a behavior of the fathers or the husbands. Have you got some experience like this? Anybody? Yes or no? You understand that? Have you got this experience that sometimes unnecessarily we become volatile and our anger of somewhere else is dumped on somebody else's? So, a merchant who is dependent upon the products of the jungle, for the sake of his own indulgence and to make the ends meet or to make family members happy, he has to take so much risk. And the risk is discomforting him. So the person who is taking the risk himself is not happy with the situation. Sometimes he is pricked. But then that reaction is not tolerable for him. So how he empties out the intolerability? To dump it on somebody else. And generally the wives and children become victimized. So, Jad Bharat is explaining, ambitious conditioned soul wants to be very happy in the material world with his family, but he is compared to a traveler in the forest who desires to climb a hill full of thorns and small stones. One may want to become very great and powerful in the society, but this is like attempting to climb a hill full of thorns. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur compares one family to high mountains. Jad Bharat, I'm talking about you. No, I'm talking of Bhagavatam Jad Bharat, who is instructing to Kim Ram. You just popped up and right at the time. Prabhu. Now, this is what Srila Prabhupada explained. Almost 99.9% of the population is unhappy in family life, despite all the attempts being made to satisfy the family members. Is it a correct statement or not? Raise your hands. Come on, how come there are no... I want to count the numbers. And this is applicable to you also, 99.9%. Then raise your hands. Jad Bharat is exceptional.
I'm happy.
There are many cases of divorce, and out of dissatisfaction, the children leave protection of their parents. When one's mind is disturbed in so many ways, he satisfies himself by becoming angry with his poor wife and children. The wife and children are naturally dependent on the father, but the father, being unable to maintain the family properly, becomes mentally distressed and therefore chastises the family members unnecessarily. Pass the buck. How come I am distressed and you are happy? Enviousness between husband and wife is exposed. Okay, then take it from me too. So I will make you equal. I'll impose a distress upon you, then both will be equal partners. Being disgusted with the family life, one separates from the family by divorce or some other means. If one has to separate, why not separate willingly? Systematic separation is better than forced separation. Forced separation cannot make anyone happy, but by mutual consent or by Vedic arrangement, one must separate from his family affairs at certain age and fully depend on Krishna. This makes one's life successful. Therefore, the time of detachment is also given. So, more stronger attachment you make up to the age of 55, then at retirement age it is difficult to become detached. So, Narad Muni gives an instruction. Simultaneously you work expertly, like a very obedient servant. Yes, sir, my dear wife, what can I do for you to make you happy? And if she gives list, do it, but remain detached. I did my duty. Are you happy? Okay, no problem, no problem. Good, thank you very much. If sometimes she is not happy, oh, I made you happy the other day. Can you compensate? That's a struggle then, right? So in this way, it's unnecessary taking risk over and above the keeping body and soul together by becoming ambitious. I want to create my own empire, and I will see I'm the king of all I survey. It's enviousness of Krishna. So Srimad Bhagavatam 12th canto describes these symptoms of age of Kali. Even Jad Bharat will agree to this. He will say it's not happy situation. Maharaj, right? Men and women will live together merely because of superficial attraction, and success in business will depend on deceit. Womanliness and manliness will be judged according to one's expertise in sex, and a man will be known as a Brahman just by wearing a thread. Marriage will be arranged simply by verbal agreement. A person will think he is fit to appear in public if he has merely taken a bath. He who can maintain a family will regard as an expert man, and principles of religion will be observed only for the sake of reputation, not for progress. Okay. So, yeah, we will stop here and we'll take your questions. Yes, bro.
In the beginning, you mentioned that the mode of passion and ignorance are degrading. But while in the work situation, the passion is required. And sometimes we need to expand work or do the work more passionately than what we may want to.
Yes.
Because of the situation of the demand of the work.
Mm.
Now, while trying to expand the work with the given knowledge of Krishna consciousness, are we, as a devotee, are we trying to use the more of passion, or are we trying to dovetail the energy into Krishna consciousness?
It's a very good question. Listen carefully. So, can more of passion be utilized in Krishna the service of Lord Krishna? To expand whatever why not? There it will not be mode of passion. If anything connected to Krishna, it is a transcendental mode. For the sake of service to Lord Krishna. Yam krodha kama pranaya sahajadi bhiti vatsalya moha guru gaurava sevya bhavai sancintyam tadrisham tanuma purete govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Kama, krodha, everything can be utilized in service of Krishna, but appropriately under the expert guidance of the Guru. So, those who are desirous of working through passionate mode, it means they are called karmasangi. They are attached to the activities, right? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita also, na buddhi bedam janedad jnanam karma sangina. Never create a confusion in the mind of those who are karma sangis. Right? Rather, joshayet sarva karmani mukta sangam samacharet. The spiritual master and expert, because he is the mukta sangi, he is not attached. So, he shows by personal example how to dovetail the product of the passion into service of Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Sthane sthita Shrutigatam tanuang manobhi. Stay wherever you are, in whichever ashram, mode, or whatever you have. That is your material position. You have acquired from the last birth. So stay wherever you are, but become conducive through the verdict of the Shruti Shastra by mind, words, and activities. It should not be only on activity, and in mind and words Krishna is absent. Employ all your... Brahma is the incarnation of mode of Rajoguna. And how much passionate work he has to offer. Do you know? But he uses that mode in service of Krishna and help creation. Creation is only due to mode of passion. Creation is possible only due to the mode of passion. But Krishna, as Mahavishnu, is beyond the three modes of material nature. But he nonetheless comes as first Purusha avatar, enjoyer. Passionate nature wants to enjoy, isn't it? But funny thing is that everything, according to our body, is not conducive to the enjoyment. It's not conducive. And Krishna advises in Bhagavad Gita, as well as the frailty of the human being to enjoy is also misguided. Krishna says, Yahi sansparshaja bhoga dukkhayana evate adyantavanta kaunte nate ramate shubudha. The intelligent do not dwell in the sources of miseries. And we think they are the source of pleasure. Sansparshaja bhoga. Bhoga means enjoying. But the one which come in contact with our senses, that we want to enjoy. But they are the very breeding ground of misery. How? Our senses are cheated. The constitution of our senses, why it is material, still when the spiritual consciousness is flowing in them and conveyed to the knowledge acquiring senses. See, for example, I am feeling now sweaty, I need to drink some water, all right? But I feel hot water will not be good for me, so cold water is there. As soon as I touch, my senses come in contact with the object of sense gratification, right? This is also made up of three modes of material nature, and my sensory perception also knows only the knowledgeability of the three modes of material nature. Means guna guneshu vartayanti ti dharayan. Gunas, material modes, are coming in contact with material mode. Where is the object of sense gratification? I am cheated. I feel temporarily, oh, I like it. But you will never be satisfied. Rather, keep on drinking cold water. And as soon as you come out, you will start sneezing. Because outside is cold. Means what happened to your experience, which is temporary, unstable. You can't become a steady enjoyer even in this life. Can you? No, because we are false enjoyers. We are trying to enjoy in imitation of God. That is the first and foremost mistake that we did. It's called falling from the grace. Ichha dvesha samuthena dvanda mohena bharata sarva bhutani sammoham sarge anti parantapa. And we think we are enjoyer. We think we are happy. In Punjab, in Ludhiana especially, I have 4 or 5 kids named Happy. I have one in Delhi. The name is Happy. I used to beat him up. He's a son of my disciple. One time, I was visiting their home in Delhi, in Rohini, right? And he was in school, maybe in 10th or 11th grade or something like that. And he was very notorious. So he was suspended in the school, all right? And the news came to his home when I was there. I went to his school. and I beat him up. I said, your father's guru is beating you. Okay, he deserves it. He better be suspended. Then, instead of coming to his rescue, I did other way around. So, then, Maharaj, I will not do again. Give me in writing that you will chant 4 rounds at least every day before you come to school. And he wrote right in front of his teacher. He said, how come, Maharaj, you are angry? I said, I'm not angry. I'm giving him good lesson. But that's the way to deal with. Very passionate. So anyway, the idea is that the situation of so-called happy is so much shaky. We think we are wishfully we will become good and we will enjoy. This is called using religious life in mode of goodness, accepting all the principle, but at the end we have the expectation of knowledge and happiness, which is going to be binding us and won't make us liberate. That's the mode of goodness is binding. It is not spiritual. We have to rise above the mode of goodness. It's called parasattva. And Brahma teaches us. Wherever you go, in any planet, or wherever you have come from any planet in this life, Brahma is instructing. This Maya means material energy. It's everywhere and acting under her jurisdiction with the help of 3 modes. All her affairs, Maya's affairs, are conducted under the guidance of 3 modes. Maya hi yasya jagadanda satani sute traigunya tad vishaya veda vitayamana. Traigunya. Every subject matter of Maya's affairs are conducted under the influence of the 3 modes of material nature. In any planet, in any universe, wherever her jurisdiction is. But Brahma, me, I'm the mode of passion, I'm incarnation. So nobody would have more passionate nature than me. But yet, Sattva-avalambi, I have to resort to a mode of goodness when it comes to deal with the Supreme Enjoyer. Parasattvam, this will help me to understand my real nature in connection with Him that is transcendental. And Vishuddha Sattvam Govindam Adipurusham Tvam Ham Bhajami. Krishna is in Vishuddha Sattva form. And our communication, our service is through the mode of Parasattva or what we call spiritual in nature. And materially, we have to remain in mode of goodness. So more the spiritual activity, goodness will subside. Otherwise, if we are in mode of passion and ignorance, don't worry. Chant Hare Krishna, the mode of Parasattva will be available to it, and it will make the mode of passion and ignorance, which is epitomized by the Kama and Lobha, they will subside. And emergence of mode of goodness will come when they subside. Tada rajastamo bhava kama lobhadayasche cheta etarvana viddam sthitam sattve prasidati. When you have mode of goodness, you will have a pleasant attitude. it doesn't mean you are happy. Or you feel happy. But wait a minute. Don't go overboard. Don't be conformed with that, because it's not going to be permanent. It will be cheating. Material modes are real cheaters. We are being played in Maya's hand through these three modes. So therefore, chanting Hare Krishna and following all the Vaishnava etiquette principles, will sustain our spirituality, and we'll be able to make a tangible progress. So, as I said, any sense perception which is giving me a temporary pleasure, but it is ever changing under Krishna's direction. So Krishna says, Tantitikshva Bharata. Matra sparshastu kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkhada agama upayina anityam tam stitikshva Bharata. Because these sense perceptions are anityam. They are cheating experience. It cheats the senses. And therefore you can't hold it for some little longer time even. It will change. Then where will you go? You will chase after it? You can't hold. Our patra is having a lot of perforations. How much can you hold? It will slip away without your knowledge. So like that, we have to simply tolerate these inconveniences, because we are not product of this material world. We have to show the transcendental nature beyond the three modes of material nature. If that becomes predominant, then we are successful. So the aim is through exposure of the reality, which is nothing but fantasy. That is, reality should be eternal, not temporary. The definition of reality means eternal. What fun is there in temporary reality? Everybody will be kicked out from anywhere, and because opposing elements are there which will sometime become predominant. We just read, sometimes mode of goodness becomes predominant and subsides the mode of passion and ignorance. But as far as man is concerned, he is the very, very peculiar product of ninth creation of Lord Brahma. And that has been declared. By definition or description, when Maitreya Muni is describing this particular human race, Nara, as the ninth creation of Brahma, the 10th is demigods and demons, okay? The first 8 is simple organisms to quadruped animals, and they are all abiding the natural laws, do not violate Prakriti's laws, all right? And number 9 is going to violate. Number 10, they will be competing for the supremacy of the material nature. Man cannot become supreme, but nonetheless he has all the each there. He had an each for Mercedes, remember? Didn't you, Jad Bharat? You had an each for getting a Mercedes Benz?
Well, that is what I was going to ask you. You just said that mode of passion could be used in service.
There, wait a minute. Then it is not fully service. You are simply escaping See, a partial thing is not predominant yet.
Maharaj, but when people, general people think that you become a devotee, they don't respect you, they don't consider you to be a.
Don't worry.
They say you're a failure, then you get hurt.
Actually, to complain about it is a failure, not the other one. To become tolerant to it is a victory. This is spiritual life. Why do you want your efforts to be failed by ignoring this principle? Anyway, what I'm saying, that man is very peculiar, and especially Punjabi brain is very, very peculiar. Okay, that will satisfy. Maitreya Muni is telling Vidur, Vidur, listen, number 9th creation is very peculiar. He says, his stomach is upside down. We are known by our stomach. Anybody disagrees? Everybody agrees that we are having very peculiar habits about stomach. Our stomach is hanging. Arvak means hanging. All the animals and up to 8th creation, they were parallel. They were not violating any natural laws. So all the quadrupeds, they have the stomach parallel to the surface of Mother Earth. But this guy stood on 2 legs, so it became perpendicular. It is a hanging stomach. A hanging stomach is not going to satisfy. Do you agree or disagree? So, just for the dissatisfaction of the stomach, isn't it you have to end up working like an ass? Huh? And still, you think by bringing Mercedes-Benz, I'll become more happy. At least you wanted to show your cousin like that, right? Huh? You told me all this story, remember? How much payment is still remaining? Tell me. So the idea is, even though you are surrounded by anxieties, but you are comparing, because I have Mercedes-Benz, I have less anxiety than others. So I'm happy. Is this the criteria our happiness is to be counted on the account of how many miseries we have? Dukkhe cha sukhamanina. What intelligence do we have? We are calculating our happiness on the strength of how much distress we have. So we acknowledge that distress is a fact and happiness is a fiction. Don't we acknowledge that? Happiness is a fiction. Is it difficult to understand? This is Maitreya Muni speaking. Don't blame me. Huh? Is happiness really existing? If it is existing, then why Krishna would say that mam upetyatu kaunteya dukkhalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmana samsiddhim paramam gata. By achieving me, you will never return to this miserable material world again. And that is your perfection of human form of life. Prabhupada said, if you are a gentleman, this is not a place for you. Start making an effort to get out from here. Isn't it? Mr. Mercedes-Benz. Huh? That is correct. So, our estimation of happiness fails us because it is not true. It cannot be proven because I have the tiger of unhappiness still chasing my tail. Material world is like that. Stringent laws of material nature are very difficult to overcome. You think this jail is very happy? Has anybody made a happy jail somewhere? No. So we have to take this lesson as far as our reasoning is concerned. We have to take into account the arguments and full logic and reasonability. Yes.
Maharaj, basically, at what stage, you start becoming peaceful all the time, like where you're not perturbed by the material energy or whatever things are happening within the material space. So when does it become at what stage?
The stage is called...
As a goal.
Yes, the stage is developing the detachment. That will make you happy. That will make you happy. Happiness or happy state of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra to be brought by subsiding these lower modes, and then it will help us to understand the transcendental nature of the... It will make you face to face stand before the Paramatma. So, this is the process of Krishna consciousness and is easily achievable by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So time is up. So we'll see again. We'll go into detail of now real fun. Hare Krishna.